guys? Welcome back to the Film Grinders podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Hauka, here with David Hollinshead. Dave, what a week of playoff football. Started off with two bangers of games on Saturday. Sunday, I think the level of play dropped a little bit, a couple of stinkers there, and then Monday was a big stinker, but level of intensity upped, some great games on Saturday. How did you enjoy your playoff weekend?
Honestly, I thought it was a lot of fun. Like you said, I think there was only one game to me personally that was a bit of a dud, and it was the game that I was the most emotionally invested in. So that was kind of a shame. But I think every game offered up enough, at least in the fourth quarter, to be like, okay, I can lock in, and I really want to watch this game. But you're right, the Saturday games are absolutely nuts, and I had a lot of fun watching those ones.
Yeah, it doesn't really get much better than those two games. Of course, we're referencing the Carolina LA game and the Bears Packers game. Both games that came down to the wire, comebacks in both of those. The Bears coming back a little bit later than the Panthers, but before LA held on. But we'll get right into it, Dave, with weekly headlines. Some pretty historical news today. Mike Tomlin finally stepping down as head coach from the Steelers.
Yeah, I think we can very easily say he's had a legendary career, and he is a top three head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the last 60 years. Absolutely.
And if you guys don't get that, Dave was mentioning this pre-show. Steelers have only had three coaches in that time frame: Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and then of course Mike Tomlin. Dave, that's pretty unprecedented in sports, especially for a franchise that demands excellence for the most part. So that's pretty crazy to think about.
Well, you got to hand it to him. Like at least I would rather have a stable head coach and like commit to my guy if I like my guy than we see all these teams going through the coaching carousel every 2-3 years. So I actually have mad respect for the Steelers for doing that.
I do too. I agree. And also, I think with Tomlin, I think he gets too much flack. When he has good talent, if you look at his records, they're good. When he had Antonio Brown before everything happened, and Le'Veon Bell, Ben Roethlisberger when he was still good, etc., 13-3 team, right? And he won the Super Bowl when he had talented teams. I think as he kind of got into his tenure, especially in the 2020s, they didn't surround him with enough offensive talent. Their defense is good every single year, which is his specialty. There's no offensive talent, and it's not really the play calling that's an issue. They haven't had a receiver that's truly a threat until somewhat this year with DK Metcalf, who, again, had a 40-plus-year-old quarterback throwing him the football. And we saw what their offensive line looked like yesterday with an okay running game and then no other threats. Like, how are you supposed to win games like that? It's not going to work. You can't just say, hey, here's one target that we acquired for your offense. We have an aging quarterback in his 40s whose game was predicated on extending plays with his legs. And yes, he's capable of functioning in the pocket, but not quite the same as before. And then Calvin Austin is kind of your next best guy. Pat Fryermuth, maybe. Good luck. You're not going to win like that. So the fact that they actually made the playoffs, I actually think is quite commendable for him and speaks volumes to how good of a coach he is. So for people that are frustrated with him saying this guy is the problem, I would heavily push back on that. What do you think, Dave?
I think it all comes down to excuse me, their inability to develop or find and develop a quarterback. Unfortunately, the Kenny Pickett situation obviously failed. But beyond that, like how many swings at the can did they really take at a quarterback? And they kind of got stuck in that 9-7 kind of limbo that we've talked about when it comes to the drafts, right? You get stuck in that middle part of the draft. You can't really get a top tier QB, and then it becomes a real dart throw to try and get your guy.
100%. So Tomlin gone. And with Tomlin being gone, that also may have been Aaron Rodgers' last game of his career. Obviously, you know what, Dave? Like, he didn't actually have a bad season. He did not play to the standards we are accustomed to watching him play at, for sure. But what can you say about Rodgers' career if this is it?
Um, I'm gonna maybe hot take, maybe not, but I think underwhelming. Honestly, I think he's gonna fall into the Philip Rivers type kind of role where okay, you won one Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure maybe 20 years ago, but with the QB of that kind of echelon, you would expect more Super Bowls, more success. And yeah, he was fun to watch for 20 years, but I think it was a little disappointing for the teams that he had and the talent he has.
Yeah, I'm gonna heavily push back on
I
that
know
one
you
as a
are.
big
You
Rogers
love
guy
Rogers.
growing
You
up.
love retro Rogers.
The Packers organization screwed him. He had exactly one good team, and he won a Super Bowl with them. Actually, I'll give him two. I think the year they collapsed against the Seahawks, that was the other good team they had. They had two good teams. He almost made the Super Bowl if it wasn't for extraordinary coaching gaffes by Mike McCarthy and a third string tight end on an onside kick. And the other year they won the Super Bowl. The year after they won the Super Bowl, they had the worst defense in the NFL, and Rodgers led them to a 15-1 record and was playing quarterback at the highest level it's ever been played at before. And I don't want to hear anything else. Individually, yes, he was not surrounded with the structure that Tom Brady was for his whole career. There's no denying Brady's more successful, but I think at their peak, I am taking Rodgers 100% of the time. His ability to fit the ball into tight windows and make chicken salad out of chicken shit. Remember when they were playing the Cardinals in the playoffs and his receiving core was so injured after the first quarter? His receiving core consisted of Jared Abbrederis, ever heard of him? Wisconsin legend. Jeff Janis, who caught the Hail Mary to push the game into overtime. Richard Rogers, a tight end who lasted about 4 seasons. And there's one more. What was his name? Nick Toon. Those were the guys playing receiver for him, and he dragged them to overtime and then didn't even get a possession. I think he is a product of an organization refusing to build around him and to sign big name free agents, drafting absolutely horrifically. Look at the drafts from about 2012 to 2017 for the Packers. Pretty darn terrible. And then after that, you know what? Kind of his own worst enemy within the media, in his own personal life, being somewhat unlikable from, let's say, 2020 onward for the most part. But I don't think that takes away from the individual talent. And Dave, to even put him in the same sentence as Philip Rivers is just absolutely terrible. Not remotely on the same level. Like, if we're talking upper echelon of quarterbacks, Rodgers is in that conversation. I know the last 3 to 4 years did not look very good, but this is a guy that is a first ballot Hall of Famer, an all-time great, and you cannot take away from his greatness because of his lack of team success. He could not control that. He kind of did what he could do.
And welcome to Nick's TED Talk of Aaron Rodgers stands.
I watched it my whole life growing up, and go turn on the film of the Super Bowl run and watch the Packers run Y stick 15 times a game, and Rodgers squeeze the ball to the number 3 receiver on the little stick route with a middle linebacker inside and a nickel outside converging. He squeezes it in perfectly to Jermichael Finley. Actually, no, Finley was hurt. I forget who their backup tight end is, but the window is like literally this big, and it's perfectly thrown in there over and over again. Just his execution was unbelievable. So.
Sure, I'm not downplaying his talent. I'm downplaying his success.
Yeah, but Dave, also, like, I hate when we talk about all-time greats at certain positions and we take team success into it. This isn't hockey where like one player, like a goalie, can steal a series, right? You can have a quarterback playing at the highest level he possibly can be playing at, and his team loses by 40 plus points because there's nothing around him, right? Like, this is the ultimate team sport. You need everything going right on both sides of the ball. Name the last time one player has led a team to a championship. I don't think it's ever happened.
No, you're probably right.
Yeah. So honestly, I don't, if I'm talking about, I hate the conversation of, the greatest of all time, let's just enjoy everyone. But I hate he has 6 championships. It's like, yeah, but also he had the greatest head coach of all time. He had unbelievable defenses. Like, there's so much context that goes into it. You can't take a singular player and then and take out all of that stuff. Like it all encompasses itself. So
I don't
I
know.
digress.
You get
That's my
personal while you're attacking my personal hero.
he's amazing. He's I you know what? Like again, I didn't love how Patriots kind of got a lot of calls and stuff like that over the years and
Here we
everything
go.
like that. Yeah, I know you're going to roll your eyes, Patriots
Here we
fan, but it was
go.
pretty annoying to watch. Jesse James' catch was insane. Miles Jack wasn't down. Anyway, let's not get into that soapbox. But
At least we got some energy going.
watching Brady dissect defenses, that was his superpower, right? Like the ball was out within 2 to 3 seconds, and it was in the perfect spot every time. It was amazing to watch. Like you're not going to see anything like that ever again, and I appreciate it. But anyway, you know who doesn't execute at a high level, Dave?
Who?
Kevin Patullo as a offensive coordinator, as well as Greg Roman. They're out the door. We've talked about Patello quite a bit, so maybe let's not talk about him. But I've heard a lot of rumblings from people, from NFL personalities such as Chris Sims, LaShawn McCoy, talking about how the offensive struggles might actually be on Jalen Hurts. There's been a lot of conversation about the reason why the Eagles scheme is so vanilla is because Jalen Hurts doesn't like intricate motions or complicated play designs or stuff like that. He likes everything to be spread out and for it to be very vanilla and simple so he can see the field at his best. And he almost, I don't want to say refuses to, but almost at that point, it seemed like when hearing those guys talk. What do you think about that, Dave?
I don't know. I think I'm kind of two minds about it. Like we've talked a little bit before about how NFL QBs nowadays, and Tom Brady especially has been vocal about this, how quarterbacks aren't mentally in the same place as they used to be. I think that's just kind of the way the game's going anyway, so we can put that criticism on probably 90% of the QBs in the league right now. But, I mean, I bring it back to look how effective and dynamic they were with Kellen Moore at the helm of their offense. And I think that's where it lives and dies is with coaching. You still got to coach them up and you scheme them up and get your guys ready to play at a high level. So I'm going to put it on the coaching, honestly. He has the physical
But
skill.
like, let's think about this though, right? Like, how many times last year did Jalen Hurts actually put the team on his back and win the game for the Eagles? It was mostly their running game with Saquon Barkley with over 2,000 yards rushing. This year, Barkley doesn't have the same success. Still believe he put up like 1,200 yards rushing or something along those lines.
Sure.
And their offense looks inept, right? So I think at some point we need to you need to put a little bit on the quarterback. And like I like Jalen Hurts. I like what he brings to the table, but I wonder if maybe this is actually a thing at this point.
Maybe. I think we only have 1 year of a sample size to go off of because he looked, as I said, he looked great under Kellen Moore. I think we'll see going forward with the new OC if that's going to change or not. But I'm going to stick with it being Philly's coaching that's the problem rather than the quarterback until I have a bigger sample size.
Fair enough. I think that Hertz has all the tools, but I think if he's legitimately saying things like, I can't do this, I don't want to do this, I think he needs to change that because he's fully capable of doing those things he needs to work on, and just saying no and being catered to does not lead you to advancing as a player, right? So hopefully that is not true and it's all BS. But
Yeah.
again, coming from some pretty trusted inside voices, so I don't know. Greg Roman. We haven't really talked about Greg Roman a lot on this podcast, but I've always been a huge fan of his run game designs, Dave, but his passing concepts are absolutely horrific at times. You have players within 2 yards of each other, and it's not like mesh or anything like that. It's like downfield, deep cross or dig, and they're like at the same depth. Stuff like that, where you just go, what is going on here? I remember watching a lot of Lamar film when he was the OC in Baltimore going, how is Lamar playing well right now with some of these designs? What have you seen with what he does, and why do you think he's out the door?
No, I
Other
would.
than the obvious.
Yeah, well, I think his offense is just kind of very boring and doesn't really trend to what the NFL wants to do nowadays. And you're right, the running game is effective, and that's probably why this Harbaugh hired him too, because it was a trusted name. and runs the offense that he kind of wants to run. But there's nothing dynamic. There's nothing explosive. Um, I tend to say that he has weapons there. Like Gadsden ends up being a really good tight end. Lad McConkey has a very much down year this year. And I got to put it on Greg Roman. I mean, Keenan Allen's kind of a shell of what he used to be. Unfortunately, but as much as I love Keenan Allen, but you have guys there, and you have one of the best QBs, a very dynamic skill set. You got to be able to make that work, and he doesn't. He didn't, right?
Yeah, and like the offensive line play definitely did not help. Wow, were they a disaster yesterday
Sure,
or
but
two
to
days
be
ago
fair as
rather.
well,
Um,
when both your tackles are on IR,
yeah.
hurts.
Oh yeah, for sure. So like you got to give him a little bit of sympathy there, but it feels like it hasn't gotten better since he got fired at Baltimore. So
Yeah,
um,
I think it was
time
the
to
right
saw
person.
that one. Yeah, and I also feel like he wasn't a good fit for the Chargers, right? Like he has made mobile quarterbacks very successful, with Colin Kaepernick back in San Fran, and then with Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Herbert's a straight drop back passer. I know we saw him running for his life against New England, but that's not where he's at his best. He is a tall pocket passer who can extend plays when needed, but he shouldn't have to be doing it every other play. So I think Harbaugh needs to bring in. You can bring in a ground and pound guy, but someone that needs more of a efficient uh, passing game for Herbert to find work and have routes to actually throw to that make sense and aren't poorly spaced, let's say.
Yeah,
So they are those two are out. So will be interesting to see who comes in. A lot of vacancies coming up here as
especially in a
the
market like
playoffs.
LA where you're
Yeah.
literally competing with another team for like fans' affections and attention and ticket sales. You need to be able to put up an exciting product on offense. Offense sells tickets, unfortunately.
Mm.
And if you're not going to have that exciting offense, fans are going to invest their money in a more exciting team. And the Rams are much more exciting than the Chargers are to watch right now.
That is true. Now you got to say though, this is a pretty hot job to take. You have Justin Herbert, who, yeah, he hasn't been able to elevate in the playoffs. I mean, like I don't really put all of that on him. I don't know who's going to be successful uh, with the offensive line play we saw against the Patriots, especially in the third and fourth quarter there. But you have the quarterback who, at worst, is like a top 6, 7 guy. Like that is worst case scenario if you're a big, God damn it! Why did I say that? A If you're being a total hater of him, like I don't think you can put him outside of 6 or 7. Like he's very good. We've seen his moments.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a hot job that someone wants. But we will see going forward who they give that job to, and if the Chargers can finally be successful and Justin Herbert can actually win a playoff game eventually. Only time will tell. But we'll move on to primetime games now. And guys, with it being the playoffs, every game's a primetime game, no matter what time it was played at. So we'll start, Dave, with Carolina, LA. Really started off with a bang that we mentioned in the intro. What a game from start to finish.
Well, I think that the game was a absolute roller coaster. I think in the first quarter, I was like, "Yep, I was right. Nick was wrong. This is going to be a blowout." Second quarter, oh, okay, maybe it'll look closer than it was. And then I think by the third quarter, Bryce Young looking like a young Nicholas Hauka out there, just looking very dynamic, making the big boy throws and um, finding ways to get the ball downfield, and he looked like what they wanted out of him as a number one overall pick. And it was a very exciting game to watch, and good for Carolina. Like, I'm sorry that your Cinderella kind of run had to end here, but damn, credit to them.
Yeah, the clock may have struck midnight, but Carolina might have actually found their guy here. I know Bryce Young has faced a lot of ridicule the last couple of years, but the way he was making plays was so impressive to me, Dave. He had free runners in his face all game. He was managing to evade them, keep his eyes downfield, and throw strikes. That is something that not every quarterback can do. And I think he's finally kind of showing that talent he had at Alabama. I was super impressed with the way he played. And I also liked that he wasn't getting too antsy in the pocket like he used to. He was still, when he had a clean pocket, he wasn't leaving too early often or at all. He was staying in the pocket. He was throwing strikes over the middle of the field, which has been a problem with him with his height, but he was doing it. He hit Coker on a ton of crossers over the middle of the field. Um, he hit Tet on a lot of like skinny posts down the field too. Like they were doing some really good things, and he was staying poised in the pocket, delivering the ball, and then in not advantageous situations, he was making massive plays. Like I think if you're a Panthers fan, you have to be super excited that this was kind of his breakout game, in my opinion. And if he can continue to play even at 75% of the level he played with in that game, like Carolina has their guy.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Lots of just professional, great throws you want to see from your guy. You said it, like a guy who doesn't stand very tall, being able to throw those kind of deeper over the middle throws, being able to see it, throw with anticipation. I thought the go ahead touchdown in the last 3 minutes to Coker, I thought that was an amazing throw. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
I really like what I saw out of Bryce Young, and yeah, I have a friend who's a Panthers fan who's just been living in misery for the past however long. So
Yeah.
at least he can kind of leave that game with his head held high, like, okay, there's hope. There's something to root for.
Yeah, 100%. The other thing, let's move on to the Rams now. Stafford looked unstoppable until that finger injury. How concerned are you with that going forward? I know he really picked things up in the last couple of quarters, but as a quarterback, Dave, obviously very difficult to make all the throws on the field when you have a finger injury on your throwing hand.
Yeah, that's tough. Until see the reports, I am not concerned by it because we did see him still throw the ball with assertiveness and authority, and obviously goes down the field, wins the game. So I'm not too concerned about it yet, but and he's got a week to recover. So personally, I'm not too worried about it, but we'll see how the reports are.
You know what I am worried about with the Rams, though, Dave, after that game?
Yeah.
Their secondary, especially on the outside, Emmanuel Forbes and Kobe Durant got worked by Tet McMillan and Jalen Coker. I know Coker did have a lot of success in the slot when he was out wide. Those two struggled, and Forbes has really been holding up for the most part all year. I know people talked about him being a colossal bust, and personally was not a fan of his game out of college, but I really thought he turned it around, especially halfway through the season. Those two really struggled. I'm pretty concerned about that going forward. When you play some legitimate receiving cores, like next week, what are you going to do with those two struggling so much? You're going to have to help them out with your safeties. And because of that, you're going to lose a little bit of your run defense on early downs. And yeah, I feel like I'm just really worried about that, Dave. What do you think?
I think that I think if they were playing the Seahawks, I would feel better about it. But since they're going off to play the Bears, it does concern me, especially with the way that Caleb is spinning the ball right now and the way that offense is executing. It brings me
Yeah.
some trepidation, especially if it's not going to be like bang bang type passing with Caleb. It's going to be extend the play, find the guy downfield. I don't think they can hold up for that long in man coverage, and the zone hasn't been great either. So, no, I'm very concerned. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I think the one maybe saving grace is I don't know how many separators Chicago has. Like a Dunze is not a separator. Um, Burden is a little bit, but he's more of a slot guy. Who he's been playing great. I really like him, but he's not really on the outside. And then obviously Loveland on the inside. That's a little bit of a different story. So yeah, we'll see going forward. That is my biggest concern for them. Otherwise, offensive looked pretty good as normal,
Puka
kind of
Nakua,
moving the ball
Kobe
at will for the
Parkinson is
most part
very
too.
underrated.
Yeah, and their pass rush can get after you, and that is their saving grace defensively. Is with Byron Young and with Jared First, Fisk, Kobe Turner, like they get after you. especially on that last drive. I know Young actually should have thrown a completion to extend on fourth down, but they were in his face instantly all game, and that is something that can save a weaker secondary. So, still, in my opinion, there is a path there for them to make the Super Bowl as we pick them to make the Super Bowl. Um, but yeah, we'll see going forward. Can they overcome that? And will they be able to deal with that? We will see. Speaking of the Bears, who we were just talking about, incredible comeback victory over the Green Bay Packers. Dave, all Packers early, their offense was in this incredible rhythm the whole first half, where super balanced by Matt LaFleur and company. And it seemed the second half started, that rhythm disappeared and everything was hard after that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that needs to be a the story of the for the Bears, or sorry, for the Packers, is how did we let this game slip away? You allow 25 points in the fourth quarter, and yeah, you can. I'm going to point to the fact that the Bears. If I remember the stat correctly, I might be one off. The Bears have had 7 fourth quarter comebacks this season, which is absolutely crazy. But the way that Caleb is just performing, and yeah, I got some hate in the comments for giving him his flowers and saying he's doing really well. But this is why I have such love. And I wasn't a huge Caleb Williams guy. Like, I thought he was good. I thought maybe, we'll see how mentally he can respond in the NFL. He's risen to the challenge and above it. Some of those throws that we saw in the fourth quarter, absolutely bonkers throws that you just don't expect, you wouldn't expect anyone to make. And he's making them, and he's cool, calm, collected in the pocket. Lots of fadeaway throws, like he's Steph Curry, just throwing deeper passes right on the money, throwing with anticipation. The game-tying touchdown, or the game-winning touchdown, he just iced in his veins. Drops back, throws it, doesn't even really celebrate. He's just like, yep, this is just business as usual for me. We talked about Coach of the Year candidates, and I was kind of more down on the Ben Johnson argument. I might be back up with Ben Johnson over some of these guys, or at least make it a 3-horse race. Because damn, he's got that offense playing.
Yeah, he does. We'll talk later about who I actually think should be Coach of the Year. I've changed my mind. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, Caleb, unbelievable. Like those throws you mentioned, like pretty Rodgers Prime-esque, actually, rolling to his left, kind of off balance, making some unbelievable plays. He's really starting to come into his own. And remember, Dave, we talked about how we thought the Bears were going to win. This isn't how we thought they would win at all, right? Like we thought, okay, they're going to run the ball. Caleb's not going to have to do a lot. He'll make a couple throws when he needs to. But this in the second half was completely put on his shoulders, and he responded emphatically and led them to a win. So that is super encouraging for the Bears. If they can win like this now, this is a team that legitimately has a chance to make the Super Bowl at this point, in my opinion. I thought he was just not quite ready yet. I've always thought he's going to get there because he's so immensely talented and just needed proper development. If he's at that point right now, this team is a serious contender. Some of those throws were unbelievable. I thought this game was over for them after that tackle eligible play where Love throws to number 70. I can't remember his name. My bad. But who fumbles the ball, kicks it forward 20 yards, and there's 3 Bears in the vicinity to fall on the ball and they desperately need it because they're trailing and they don't get it. The ball rolls out of bounds like, hey, the game's over. Like it's just not their game. Nothing's going their way. And just the fight that those guys have, which is so much like their head coach and Ben Johnson, they're a dangerous team moving forward. They're a really dangerous team moving forward. I'll talk about the Packers a little.
If Caleb Williams having to drop back 50 times, if they would have won that game, I would have said absolutely not. No chance in hell.
No.
But no, he throws for 360, a couple touchdowns. I think he's the guy. I think he's the dude.
Oh, 100%. The Bears are in a good place right now. Packers, not so much. Couple of early playoff exits for them in the last couple of years. People calling for Matt LaFleur's job. I don't know about that, Dave. What do you think?
No, I think that's a gross finger pointing. We need a scapegoat. Matt LaFleur is just the guy there, right? very much like Tomlin, like no respect to the guy who's made your franchise stable and making you a contender every year. Yeah, it sucks, but it's not like this was a blowout or your team looked like ill prepared or unable to win this game. They were right in it until the very, very end. And I think kind of what you said if earlier, Green Bay's philosophy is draft only and don't sign high market free agents. And I think that part needs to change if they're looking to put themselves over the edge. Yeah, they got Micah Parsons, which is great, but I think they need to bring in some star power and put them over the top.
Yeah. You know what was missing, Dave? Up 25 points in the fourth quarter, or with those 25 points in the fourth quarter, was Micah Parsons to rush the passer and make Caleb Williams' life hell. So I don't think you can put that on him. Also, like, here's the thing, right? If you did fire Matt LaFleur, who are you going to bring in that's better? Have you seen the other coaching candidates that teams are interviewing right now? It's a downgrade. Like, it's a insane downgrade. This guy has produced nothing but playoff teams other than that 1 year when Detroit eliminated them on the last game of the regular season when Rodgers was still there. The, like, no. I if this happens 2 or 3 more times, sure. But the ceiling this guy gives you is so much higher than any of those candidates. And unless you have this like random hot and up and coming young coach from college or something coming, no, like just you can't do that in my opinion. Um,
But you're right. There
but
is no
Packers,
candidates. Like, what are you going to do? Bring in Kevin Stefanski? Does that really put your team over the over the top?
no, it's a downgrade.
And I'm a big Matt LaFleur fan. I love his offense. I think maybe
Yeah,
defense needs a little bit of a fix, but offensively, you're flying. Just look at the film, look at your team, do the typical offseason stuff, and fix your shit, and you'll be fine.
yeah, and I think the Packers have a good DC as well in Halfley. Like I think their coaching staff is fine. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think there's any issues there. You had your best player on your whole team get hurt, very unfortunately. You didn't have him down the stretch, and again, like you still need to be able to win games. But yeah, they had a monumental collapse, but they're still in that game. They had a chance to win. It's just you can't just fire someone based off of one game, right? So let's pump the brakes a little bit here. And we will do the same and move on. Bills Jaguars. This one was pretty painful for me as a Jags fan. I think in the first 2 games, even though you can say maybe the Packers shot themselves in the foot or whatever, I thought the Bears did a great job to come back. I don't think the Bills won this game. I think the Jaguars lost this game. Um, you were absolutely gashing them on the ground. They had no answer, and you decide to stop running the football pretty much completely. You're getting 7 yards a carry, and you're not running the ball anymore. Our boy Jordan texted me during the game, Dave, and was like, "Every coach on the offensive staff should be fired." And like, I maybe that's a little bit far, but yeah, it was pretty frustrating to watch. Like they go up 7-3, you force a fumble on the kickoff return. Ray Davis fumbles, and then this is the sequence. You on the last drive, you've gashed them on the ground. I think you had like 50 or 60 yards of rushing before you scored. First down and 10. Quarterback draw with Trevor Lawrence. Why? Why? Run the frickin' football with Travis Etienne or Bashal Tuden, who had 40 yards on the drive prior. Second down pass, third down pass, fourth down, zone read. Trevor kind of slips, and it's unfortunate. We'll get into this later about going for it on fourth down, Dave. On that drive, your offense looked tired after a long physical drive. You didn't have a rhythm. Kick your frickin' field goal. Kick your field goal. Liam Cohen has done an amazing job. There's no one else as a Jags fan I would rather have at the helm right now. But this is the first time I think he's looked like a rookie head coach. It is okay to be boring as a play caller. If you're pounding the ball, run the freaking football. Like I wish some of these offensive savants, Dave, would have a little more like 1990s high school football coach in them. Like we're gonna line up in the aisle, we're gonna pound the freaking football. Like that's what I want to see. If you can do it, it's fine. It is okay. It's totally okay to be boring. You don't need to put the ball in Trevor's hands every time. Run the freaking ball. And play like it kind of gets away from them. And Josh Allen was spectacular. He didn't have a lot to work with, and he was pinpoint perfect all game long. And you end up losing with Trevor Lawrence throwing a pick on the uh, with like 50 seconds left, I believe, which wasn't really a bad throw, but could have really put them away early on, and you did not.
Yeah, you can't let Josh Allen hang around. You got to put the dagger in it. You need to have these like long extended drives that just beat up the Bills defense, milk time off the clock, and keep the ball out of Allen's hands. And they just kept giving it back to him and letting him do his thing. And I think
Mm-hmm.
for me, when I was like, I don't know about this game, I think it might be, I don't know about this game, I think it might be over, was the two tush push sequences. First one, it was like, God damn, 4th and 1, and Allen tush pushes for like 10 yards down to the 1. Like, we see tush pushes go for like 1, maybe 3 yards tops. And then again, they do it again on the 1 yard line, and nobody's stopping him. Like, if there was more field, he would have just kept going. And it just kind of looked like the lights might have been a little too bright for Liam Cohen and his team. And I'll say that for Trevor Lawrence as well, who I thought actually didn't play that bad of a game. But I think this is what we kind of talked about in our playoff preview. If we go through coaching intangibles, Jacksonville's just not quite ready for that yet.
Yeah, like they weren't, obviously. It's frustrating because all they had to do was just be basic and run the football and kind of stick to their guns, and they didn't do it. As far as the tush push goes, really doesn't help when you're can't remember Eric Armstead's contract. I think it's 30 million plus. Uh, just stands straight up and gets pushed back like he's a junior bantam uh, defensive tackle who hasn't learned to grab cloth and fall down yet. Um, Jeez, just unreal, man. Like at that moment of the game. I digress. Very frustrating game to watch as a Jags fan. I'm sure other Jaguars fans feel the same. But what I will say is that this team has a lot to look forward to. They're very young and inexperienced, and despite playing pretty mid for the most part, and Liam Cohen having his worst game probably coaching all season, which I don't think he's going to learn from his experience because he's really hard on himself. This franchise has a lot to look forward to for the first time ever. Well, not ever, but first time in a long time.
Yeah.
In a very, very long time. I think the structure is there with the front office and Liam Cohen on the field and his coaching staff. So, a lot to look forward to. Bills, Dave. Josh Allen was exceptional. They do not have the weapons. And the Jaguars actually did a really good job of stopping James Cook defensively. And Allen had to be literally perfect. I think against teams that are able to actually be consistent offensively, I don't think this team has what it takes to move forward.
No, I would probably agree with that. But I mean, for wild card divisional rounds, this is what separates it: is if you have that guy who can drag that team to the next round. But eventually, when he gets to the higher up rounds, I think we're going to see that you just can't do it that way, and we're going to see Buffalo's season end probably next week, or this week. But yeah, Josh Allen, he looked like a guy who had been there before. Sean McDermott looks like a coach who's been there before, and that's, to me, and we kind of talked on this already, that was the difference. Guys who've been there before and know how to get that win in that situation.
100%. I think Liam Cohen and the Jags will learn eventually, but not there quite yet. But a very good, successful season. Again, I thought 8 wins would have been amazing this year, and they far exceeded that and had a chance to go on a run, and they weren't quite ready yet, but hopefully in the upcoming years. Bills will now take on the Broncos. Then after that, we had 49ers Eagles. You want to talk about another frustrating one from a fan base. Dave, when I was watching the game, again, I don't have a dog in the fight here. I'm just watching the game as a football fan. It is so obvious the Eagles are far more talented than the Niners. But oh my God, did the Niners staff outcoach the Eagles? Just unbelievable. Demarcus Robinson and Jawan Jennings ripping up a secondary of all pros from the Eagles, almost purely based on scheme if you look at it too. Quinyon got beat a couple times, but just like their design and violating Fangio's rules, which hasn't really happened when these two teams have played each other. Exceptional stuff from Kyle Shanahan. And then on the defensive side, Dave, San Fran down to their sixth and seventh linebacker and a 30-plus-year-old Eric Kendricks, who was really good in 2019, let me tell you. But it is 2026 now. And Philly can't move the ball on them.
No, I mean, we talked about this in our playoff preview too. Is we thought that the Eagles were going to take this one just based off of talent alone, and I think we put too much stock into that because, like I said earlier, the Eagles' coaching is just not good, both offensively and I think maybe even a little bit defensively. You got outcoached absolutely. The game was an absolute snooze fest until the fourth quarter, and then it maybe got into a game and Niners pull away. But I mean, Brock Purdy and Shanahan just shredded the Eagles defense. And if what's to be believed is true about the Eagles offense, I think they really need to take this offseason and look at themselves in the mirror and go, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah.
Who's the right person to be in this building to lead this team? Because that's unacceptable coming off of a Super Bowl winning season to have this kind of year. Like, sure, you made the playoffs, obviously. You won your division. You had an 11-6 record, completely respectable. But just the eyeball test, it's unacceptable to follow up a Super Bowl season like this.
Everything looks hard for them on offense, right? Like you have arguably the best receiver duo in the whole league. AJ Brown doesn't have a touch after the first quarter until the fourth, then two critical drops by him, obviously. I'll push back on their defense playing bad. Like they did have two interceptions in the second half. So like that's more than enough to propel your team to victory. I think Shanahan did some amazing things with violating the rules and stuff like that. But like I thought Fangio adjusted down the stretch, and like I just can't say enough about the Niners staff. Like you just saw the stark difference where coaching matters in this sport a lot. And the Niners had a better game plan, outcoached the shit out of the Eagles, and it reflected on the scoreboard. If you look at this Niners team, they're so beat up right now. Like their starting receivers are probably 3 and 4s for most teams' depth chart. We talked about their linebackers already. Their defensive ends are hurt as well. They're down to their third and fourth defensive end, and they're still finding ways to win. It's insane to me. So my coach of the year candidate has changed. I know the voting's already in. It's Kyle Shanahan to me. Like the fact that he has propelled this team to this record and moved on to the divisional round with all the injuries is absurd. It's just absurd. And I thought making the playoffs was one thing. Winning against a team that is just way more talented than you, exponentially at that. Unbelievable. Got to give this guy his flowers.
We love doing that. No, I think Shanahan, I don't really like him personally, but I think schematically and just being able to game plan it all, I think he deserves all the credit in the world. And like we kind of said, we thought this year was going to be a very down year, and we thought this would be the collapse of the Niners. Well, we were absolutely wrong about that because here they are in the divisional round, and we'll see if they can be stopped next week.
Yeah, like again, the Seahawks kind of showed in the last week of the season that they seem to have the tools and the formula to beat Shanahan and company, and they're a well-coached team. So I think it might end here, but the fact they've gotten this far is unbelievable. And if they win this game against Seattle this week, this will be one of the greatest coaching jobs, I think, of all time. So we will see. We'll move on, though. Chargers, Patriots. I want to talk about a snooze fest, Dave. I know you're happy, obviously, with the outcome, but probably the worst game of the week. It was hard to watch, and especially if you're a Chargers fan or a loved one of Justin Herbert, watching him just get beat up from the opening whistle to the final whistle.
I thought this would have been your favorite game because the things that the Patriots were doing on defense, you want to talk about high respected reporters saying stuff about a game? No one knew what the Patriots were doing, whether you were in the booth or whether you were behind the Chargers offensive line, because Herbert was confused the entire week. Robert Spillane, Patriots captain linebacker, said as much. He had no idea what we were doing. Chargers players were coming up to him after the game. What the hell were you guys doing? We had no idea. I think this was a masterclass. If you were to want to watch one game this week and be like, okay, this is how you coach up a defense, it was the Patriots playing the Chargers this week. Zach Kerr, who was our linebackers coach, ends up stepping into the play calling kind of game planning. Obviously, Mike Vrabel has a huge hand in it as well, but he wasn't supposed to be our DC. Our DC, unfortunately, is dealing with some health issues since the preseason and had to step away from the team. He's stepped in and done an absolutely amazing job the entire year and has only gotten better and better. And I think he's going to be a head coaching candidate if he keeps up this trajectory. Because just holding Justin Herbert to a buck 60, 19 for 31, they had absolutely zero run game. That was just a defensive masterclass. It was fun to watch. And yeah, as you said, Herbert's life was in jeopardy pretty much every snap with Milton Williams coming off the edge, Spillane on spy blitzes and type stuff like that. Offensively, not a fun game to watch. Defensively, masterclass.
Yeah, Jesse Minter did a really good job, the Chargers DC, on the opposite side of actually holding the Patriots to not much. So really got to shout him out. Good job by him too. I haven't seen the film of the Patriots yet. I'll probably watch that after this. I want to see what they were kind of doing. But it seemed on the TV broadcast, they weren't doing anything too crazy. It just kind of seemed like they were winning up front. Um, I'll take a look, though. I'll take a look. But yeah, Patriots move on, Dave. They're going to have to play better offensively in their next matchup against the Texans, which is going to be a tough one. But I think they're saving grace, as we'll talk about now. Texans, Steelers. Texans offense did not look very good in this one. CJ Stroud, couple of really weird, uncharacteristic fumbles where you kind of shake your head and go, what are you doing? They can't get the snap down. Like, what is this, a junior varsity football game? What the heck is going on here? Can't get a shock, like weird stuff going on there, but they managed to kind of corral themselves and lean on their defense again. Surprise, surprise. And managed to hold on. What did you think of this one, Dave?
I'm going to be real. I didn't get to watch this game. I had rehearsal last night, and then I got home and I was just too tired, went to sleep, and now we're filming this podcast. So I basically
I
had.
didn't miss much.
No, apparently not. So I basically just had to go off of what you were texting me during the game. So how about you fill me in? What did I miss?
Well, Texans defense is really good.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers had no time. Troy Fatanu, the right tackle out of, I believe, Oregon State, could be wrong. I think it's Oregon State. Got worked, which was weird because I think he's actually had a pretty good year. Got worked all day. Rodgers got hit a bunch. They had nothing going on offense. Really sloppy by the Texans offensively for the majority of the game. And then in the fourth quarter, they pulled away off of some defensive scores. There's a big boy defensive tackle touchdown that was pretty hilarious. Rodgers fumbled, and then I think it was Malik Collins who picked it up and went 30 yards for a touchdown. Yeah, good stuff there. Pretty terrible game to watch, but good defensive play by the Texans and equally bad offense by the Steelers. And now the Texans will have to pick it up against a very talented Patriots team. Couple causes for concern. Nico Collins goes down with a concussion in that game. Hopefully he's good to play next week because they will desperately need him against the Patriots. Christian Kirk had a really good game. Best game he's had probably since coming over from the Jaguars. Yeah, and again, kind of a snooze fest. And it was kind of a wild end to the fourth quarter there. But Texans were kind of in control for most of the game, but pretty ugly to watch. Pretty ugly to watch.
You sent me one text that gave me pause, and I was interested. Hold on, blah 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 blah. Shit, where is it? Something about like the Steelers just like stop playing.
Yeah, it kind of looked like their offense kind of gave up.
Like they were just done. That was it.
Yeah, with like 6 minutes left, they're down by multiple scores. Yeah, they're just kind of like, okay. Kind of looked
I
like they
wonder.
quit to me, but
I wonder if that
um,
contributed to the stepping down of Mike Tomlin. Just I've
maybe,
had enough. I've had enough of
maybe.
this mediocrity. I don't need this for my own mental health. I'm out.
Yeah, could be. I mean, if I was Tomlin, I'd be pretty frustrated about like the talent that's been given to me over the years, to be honest. But
No, totally.
yeah, Tomlin and the Steelers are done. It's over for them. Texans move on and will take over or take on the Patriots. Dave, with our playoff picks,
Yeah,
we were 4 for 6. Not bad.
not bad.
Not bad. Not bad. Our playoff picks are looking pretty good. The only games that we got wrong were the Niners, Eagles, and Bills, Jags. I do think it's pretty safe to say, though, both of those teams kind of lost those games on their own rather than having the other team beat them. So,
Mm-hmm.
saving grace for us. But um, lots of stuff wrong with those losses. And another that'll take us to our next segment. What's wrong with Dave? What is wrong with taking field goals and punting the ball on 4th down? A little bit of an epidemic this week that came to a head uh, with a couple of head scratching decisions going for it on 4th downs on your own side of the field. There was one particular by Ben Johnson, 4th and 4 or 4th and 3 at his own 32-yard line. With the game not over yet, not in jeopardy. What's going on? What's going on here?
I don't know. If I'm honest, I don't know. I think they, for some reason, teams hit the playoffs and they are so desperate to get the momentum and get the swing on their side that they're going to go for it in stupid positions. And we're not talking about like 4th and 1 at your 40 or their 40, and all you got to do is get the QB sneak for a first down to keep the drive moving. We're talking 4th and 3 from your 30. We're talking 4th and 4 from field goal range. Like, points are such a commodity, especially in playoff games. Get the points when you need them. We talked about this pre-show. Carolina went for it twice on 4th down, didn't get either of them. And then on 4th down to kick the field goal to tie it 17-17, which they did, the broadcasters were poking fun at them, being like, no, you got to go for it here. You're so successful on 4th down. Okay, well, one, they weren't. Two, why wouldn't you kick the field goal, get the points, tie the game, hit restart on the scoreboard? Points are momentum too, I feel. If you leave a drive without points, that just absolutely slams on the brakes of your offense. Like, at least it's something. It may not be the
Yeah.
giant leap forward that you want. And yeah, there's something to be said about go big or go home. But there's something to say about play it smart. And we kind of talked about this over text messages, whether it was this morning or last. It was this morning, I think. No, it was last night. I digress. Of teams being too analytically driven. I think that's a big problem in professional sports right now is everyone's just looking at the numbers, taking all context out of it, and if it's even slightly leans towards go for it on 4th down in the playoffs, that's what we're seeing, and I don't think I really like it. And maybe we're just two
Yeah.
old men yelling at a cloud, but it's not how
I
how
don't
I
think
like
so.
it.
No. Like a lot of my job is to look at analytics to help coaches, right? But the thing about the analytics is it's kind of like a starting point to lead you to the right place, right? Like it gives you the stat and you go, "Oh, that's interesting. Now I need to review if it's a tendency, okay, I need to review film now to take a look to see if it actually adds up. What's the context? You need to add context to analytics to use them to their full potential. So, for instance, let's go over 2 scenarios here. We already kind of talked about it, but 4th down and 2 for the Jaguars after forcing that fumble on the kickoff. Okay. Your offense is out of their rhythm. Okay. If you don't score here, if you don't convert the first down, you don't have, like, you have got 0 points out of a huge turnover. You have a chance to go up by 7. Your offense has no rhythm. Take your field goal, right? You're not in a rhythm anymore. So kick your field goal, take your points, put your defense back on the field rested, right? Like their context clues matter. If you're not moving the ball along the field, if it's not a desperate situation, take your points. It's okay. Like it is okay. Other the other one, the Ben Johnson situation we went over, that ended up actually not kind of biting them in the butt because well, it did, but they came back, so it didn't matter. Um, so let's say you actually convert, right? You're at your own 32-yard line. You still have to drive pretty much the entire field to get points. Why would you go for it in that situation in the second quarter? Punt the ball back and play some defense. Your defense is at that point wasn't playing great, but you need to rely on them. They've been good this year. Rely or believe in Dennis Allen to make his adjustments. You're okay. Like you still have to go the whole field. Yeah, it extends your drive, but then you have to go another 50, 60 yards to actually get points. Like it doesn't matter. It's just dumb.
And
You
with
need
that
to
too, when your
take.
defense isn't playing great and you have the potential to give a driving Packers offense the ball at the 30 or whatever it was,
Yeah.
they're probably putting up points. They're probably kicking that field goal even if you do stop them. And that's just such a
Yeah.
momentum swing and more points on the board for them, making it way harder on yourself than it needs to be.
Yeah. The risk outweighs the reward in those situations. And also, like, analytics don't take momentum into account. And I remember there was this ridiculous trend a couple of years of people like not believing in momentum. And I'm like, you've never played sports before if you don't think momentum's a thing. It's absolutely a thing. Um, and adding to a team's momentum can lose you games, right? Like once kind of you get that swing of momentum, everything starts going the other team's way. They feel like everything's in their favor, and then leads disappear and dissolve, etc., etc. So need to use more context. And there's a fine line of being way too conservative and then being way too aggressive. There's a nice middle ground that is very easy to find. Use your context clues, you'll be fine. Just use your context clues.
No, it's play smart, make safe decisions. You don't need to put your team in that position where now you're scratching and clawing for any sort of momentum. It's and even if you do punt it and Green Bay drives down the field and scores in that situation, at least you made it a little bit harder for them to do that, right? Like it's a lot easier to go 30 yards than it is to go 60 to kick that field goal. So I
Yeah.
don't like it.
I'm going to swing a quote here and change it a little bit from an all time great Jaguars coach, Urban Meyer. Instead of make your effing kicks, take your effing kicks. It's okay. Take them. But speaking of context clues, Dave, for breaking the narrative this week, I want to talk about unnecessary roughness head contact penalties.
Mm.
Um, yes, I am a defensive guy, but I'm also very much in support of protecting players. I don't like head hunting. It's bad for the game. It causes concussions and takes players out. NFL officials need to understand, and fans watching games too need to understand how bang bang things are. Okay, I'm going to use two plays from the Carolina LA game for reference point here. Number one, I believe it was Nick Scott, the safety on the Panthers, who hits Devontae Adams out of bounds and gets an unnecessary roughness after making a great pass breakup. Stafford throws the ball late to the sideline. Nick Scott, all he is trying to do is hit Devontae Adams as hard as he possibly can to dislodge the ball. There is no ill intent. He leads with his shoulder. Devontae Adams leaves the ground. Scott is also jumping to contact him and hits him with his shoulder, but their heads collide. 15-yard penalty on Scott. That's not head contact to me. Like, this is a contact sport. Everything is going fast. It's already impossible to play defense nowadays. And I know maybe that can seem like a biased opinion coming from a defensive guy, but there's a difference to me between colliding and your heads happen to hit and leading with the crown of your helmet. If a player dips his head on purpose and leads with his head, call it every time. I'm totally okay with that, especially if it's a quarterback. But when you just accidentally make contact on an ill-advised throw by a quarterback, you're incentivizing quarterbacks to throw hospital passes and stupid balls. Why are you rewarding offensive players for bad football? I absolutely cannot stand it. On the flip side of that, for the Rams' perspective, Nate Landman gets a call where I believe it was Jalen Coker catches the ball on the sideline, kind of dips backwards, and then tries to work his way upfield and cut back against the grain. And Landman's coming and pursuing from the inside to the sideline, and Landman blows him up, and he gets a head contact penalty because his eyes drop slightly. Don't reward offensive players for making stupid decisions. It's the NFL. You can't cut back and forth like this. We're not in college or high school anymore, man. Like, it wasn't a dirty hit. His head was somewhat in contact, and Coker was kind of being ridiculous by cutting back against the grain. You are going to get hit for that. This is a contact sport. It's going to happen. Didn't lead with his head. It was just into contact. We can't, like, you can't in critical games call little ticky tacky things like this that are 15-yard penalties. 15. That is a huge swing in a game. This is the playoffs are the time where referees need to put their whistles in their pocket and have as little on an outcome as the game as they possibly can. I don't want to see these called anymore unless they're absolutely egregious. What do you think, offensive guy?
No, I would agree. Like I was still a head coach, and I can respect that kind of thing of incidental contact. It's going to happen. Like it just is. And there are some QB sacks that I'm like, well, what else did you want him to do in this situation? Like hitting below the knees or hitting too high. Well, if a QB's like ducking to try to avoid a sack and you end up on top of him like that or falling on top of the QB, is a penalty. And I'm like, what do you want these guys to do? And it just comes down to, yeah, like you said, this is a contact sport. This is kind of ticky tack type shit. It it's too tough to call, and I think there needs to be some sort of incidental at worst type penalty where maybe it's just a 5 yarder, but a 15 automatic first down. It's just we talked about momentum. It's too much of a swing to just put in the referee's hands for such an incidental nothing play.
And like, I also feel like with these calls, they're just like catering to casual fans. Like, who cares? You have a massive fan base to people who actually care about football. Stop catering to people who don't care. You don't actually need to grow that much more. Like, think of this is $1 billion business. Like, guys, stop catering to this little tiny crowd that's like, oh, it's too physical, it's dangerous. If they don't want to watch, that's okay, right? Like, football's not for everyone. That's totally fine, right? But it's happening in all sports right now. It's just so ridiculous. Like, this is a full contact physical game by grown ass men who are physical freaks. It's gonna happen. Like, it's just gonna happen. And like, I don't want this to go back to like 1970s, 80s football where people are clotheslining each other and everyone's getting 15 concussions a season. But like, there's a fine line that we need to find. We do. We need to find it. Let's not cater to this little tiny crowd who doesn't actually care about the game where so many people do. It is okay to
Like
occasionally
I've been saying this
it's
for
okay.
years, and it's kind of a joke and it's tongue in cheek, but I blame Will Smith for that stupid movie. That like as a football coach, right? Like we try to find athletes at our schools and try and talk them into playing football, et cetera, et cetera. Like we want to talk to the basketball kids and et cetera. And we have had so many conversations with parents. At least I have. I'm sure you have too. Of I don't want my kid to get hurt. Football's a rough sport, and it's because they're going off of this narrative, and this started with the movie. I swear to God, of football's way too dangerous for my kid. I blame the movie.
Well, I mean, I think the movie is good in the way that it like you take the proper safety precautions now, right? Like the way kids are taught to tackle is a rugby style that keeps your head out of contact,
Yeah,
right? And you um like the precautions are taken. There's now the like concussion spotters, which I actually think is a really good thing in the NFL.
agree.
Stuff like that, like that's very progressive and good, and I really like that that has been instituted. It's just like normal hits being penalized, which I have a problem with, right? Like I like the additional technology and awareness that has been put in to uh, to concussion awareness. Very good. That wasn't around when we played, right? But it's awesome that it's in now. Every single high school coach now needs to be concussion certified, which is amazing. And I wish that was a thing a little bit earlier, right? But um, yeah, like it's just injuries happen. It's unfortunate. You do whatever you can to prevent them, but throwing 15-yard flags for normal hits is not going to help. So
For
let's,
incidental contacts.
yeah, for incidental contact, let's maybe get rid of that. Don't get me started on targeting in college football. Oh my gosh, it's just insane to me. But anyway, hopefully, guys, there's some more insane finishes to the upcoming matchups, Dave. Um, this week, so we have Niners Seahawks, bound to be a good game.
Do we
Quickly
want
before
to
we get
rapid
out of
fire?
here, yeah, it's rapid fire. Niners
Yeah,
Seahawks, who you got?
Seahawks. I think they just have the book on the Niners, and I think the Niners, just as we said, injuries. Going Seahawks.
I will agree with you 100%. Rams Bears.
I'm gonna go against our grain. I'm gonna go Bears. I think they're playing too high, too much momentum. I love what Caleb Williams is doing. I'm going Bears.
I'm gonna fight against that. I'm gonna go Rams. I still think they have more playoff experience and will be ready to go.
Sure.
Bills, Broncos.
I'm going Broncos. I think Josh Allen can only do so much, and I think that defense is flying too high. I'm going Broncos, and they're well rested.
I will agree with you 110%. Texans, Patriots. I would agree. CJ Stroud did turn it around late in that game, but I don't think they will be able to get away with the errors that they did against the Steelers because the Patriots actually have a functioning offense. So,
Yeah.
Believe it or not, most teams in the playoffs actually have that, unlike the Steelers. So,
Yeah.
But we will get out of here, guys. Thank you for tuning in. For Nicholas Hauka, that's David Hollinshead, and thank you for tuning in to the Film Grinders podcast. We will see you guys next week.